everybody, it's Susan. I'm in my studio today and I've got a new project I want to show you. And I'm going to show you this. And I'm going to kind of zoom in. In fact, I'm going to lay it down and zoom in because you can get probably the best picture that way. Let me put something to prop it just a little, keep the glare off of it. There we go. I'm going to zoom in here. And what this is, you guys, this is a new technique that I've come up with. And I want to share it with you guys because it is just so stinking cool. This was one of those times when I did the technique and I played around with it, and when I was done I looked at it and went, oh, how cool is that? Because it came out so much better than even I expected it to. So I'm going to show you how I did this. Okay, let me sit down here. What this is, you guys, this is a piece of, make sure I'm in frame, yeah. This is a piece of self-adhesive metal. And you guys have all seen these. This is what I started with. And I'm going to show you how I took it from this to this. I'm going to set this one aside. Okay, so you've got your adhesive metal, and the first thing you're going to want to do is to trim it for your embossing folder. Okay? So I'm going to take this and lay it in here, and I'm just going to trim mine with my scissors. And I'm just going to bend it so that I know where to trim it. This doesn't have to be perfect for what I'm showing you for today. Then, like I said, I'm going to turn this over so it doesn't glare so bad for the camera. And I'm just going to trim that off. Just like that, maybe. Okay, I'm going to set aside the extra. And what this is, guys, is, like I said, it's self-adhesive metal sheeting. And this white backing just peels off like that. And then this part is sticky. Okay. So I'm going to put this in my embossing folder. And I want to make sure when I do this, you have to be careful, because if you put it in the wrong way, all of your print will end up being backwards. Okay? So you want to put it in so that when you hold your texture plate, let me make sure you can see that. When you hold your texture plate, it's readable. And you want to put it then obviously shiny side up so that you can read it after you emboss it. I'm going to get my big shot over here. And I'm just going to run this through my big shot quick. Just like that. And you guys, where this idea came from is I was checking Tim Holtz's blog, excuse me, for his 12 Days of Christmas, and I saw that he had done something similar with his metal numbers and made them look like old white enamelware. Well, you guys know me, when I see a technique, I like to take that technique and see what I can come up with that's similar but not exactly the same. So that was the inspiration that I had for this. And I'm going to show you the metal plate, and I know it's going to glare some. I want to get in there so you can see how well those embossing folders work. Really, really cool. Alright. Now, I took this after I got it embossed, and excuse me, you guys, I'm already in my pajamas. I spent most of the day cleaning house. So after I had my shower this evening, I just thought, I'm just going to go straight to my pajamas. So I'm in my jammies. I'm sure you guys don't care. And what I've got now is my Distress Crackle paint in Picket Fence. And I'm going to paint this whole thing. And a lot of this I will probably fast forward through, just so you guys don't have to be bored watching me do the obvious. Okay, and my crackle paint is getting really low. I'm almost out. I need more. So I'm going to use a paintbrush to get down in there and get it out. I use a lot of this Distress Crackle. I love it. I think it's about the best thing since peanut butter. Okay, you guys, I've got it all dry now. Now when you're working with this metal, be mindful that when you heat it with a heat gun, it's going to get hot. Keep your tweezers handy, just to make sure that you don't burn yourself. Excuse me. Okay, so now I've got my crackle paint dry, and it's cracked a little bit. It's not going to crack a tremendous amount on this. It will crackle some, and the amount of crackle you're going to get is going to depend on the thickness of the paint that you put on. I just want some light crackling for effect. Now you guys, what I've got here is my UTEE, my extra thick embossing enamel in clear, and I have my Versamark. So I'm going to ink this up, and you want to push down and make sure, hang on just a second here, I'm going to clean this up a little bit first. Make sure when you're doing this, you guys, that you press firmly so that you get your UTEE down into all of the little embossed areas, okay? And you can see my UTEE's pretty nasty at this point. I have one for stuff like this and one for using with stamps, so I kind of keep them separate. And like I said, you want to push this down in here firmly and go over it a couple, 3 times to make sure that you get ink down in all those little crevices, because you want your UTEE to stick. Like I said, you guys, the inspiration for this came straight from Tim Holtz's blog and his card yesterday. I just thought, or not his card, excuse me, his tag, where he embossed the metal number. So now I'm going to put this in my embossing tray. I've got a little bit of stray crackle paint in there. There we go. And I'm going to obviously cover it with my UTEE. And I get it on there really good and thick. And then I push it down again to get it into all those little crevices. I don't know that this part is necessary. I'm anal like that. That's my OCD showing up again. So there we go. I'm going to get that out of there with my tweezer. And you guys can see I've got a really thick coat of UTEE on there. And I'm going to keep my tray handy. I'm going to put my tray here. I want to make sure I'm on film for you guys, or on frame. I'm going to tip this up just a skosh so you can see. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to heat this up the first time. I'm going to put a little extra UTEE in my tray. You'll see why that's important in a minute. I'm going to heat this up, but remember, you don't want to touch this once you've heated it, because between the UTEE and the heat gun, it gets really, really hot. So I'm going to heat it up, and then I'm going to quick dump it back upside down into my tray with my tweezers. And the first coat, I'm going to do the whole thing. On the second coat, I'm going to do roughly half at a time, because you can't keep the whole thing hot enough to pick up more UTEE. And I'm just going to keep heating it and dipping it back into my tray until I get 2 good coats of UTEE over the whole thing. So here we go. Okay, so there we go. I've got 2 coats on the whole thing, and I need to let that dry, cool for a minute. Okay guys, I'm back, and you can see I've got this all embossed. 2 coats of UTEE. I think you saw that during the fast forward. I did put 2 coats on. Now I'm going to take my archival ink and my blending tool. And in Tim's video, he showed that he used a black paint dauber. I tried the black acrylic paint, and I didn't like the way it worked for me. I had trouble with that. So I got out my blending tool and my archival. And you want to use a really light touch here. You don't want to get too much on all at once. You can always add, you can't take away. Okay? And I'm just going to lightly, and I'm going in little tiny circles, and I'm just going to really, really lightly put this ink on. And you don't want it too even. You want it to kind of look like the paint's been rubbed off over time. So I'm just barely touching this. Okay, and then for the edges, I just took my archival and I inked up my edges just like you would a piece of paper. Same thing. And you want to try to keep your metal plate kind of flat as you work, which is, it's harder than it should be, I think. But there you go. That's it. That is your finished piece. Now, you don't want to try to set this archival with your heat gun. You want to set it aside and let it dry on its own, because obviously if you heat it back up, it's going to melt into the UTEE and spread, and you'll lose your definition. So there you go. Here's the original. And I'm going to zoom in here because I got a couple others I want to show you on this. Okay, here is the original. That's the first one I showed you. Here is the one I just did. And then I tried one just taking my ink pad and going straight onto the material, and I wasn't happy with how it turned out. This is what I ended up with. Oh, sorry, it's upside down. And you can see I lost a lot of definition that way. So this one I didn't care for. But then I did one, and after I had put my Distress Crackle paint on and let it dry, then I took my green ink blending tool and my peeled paint distress ink, and I went over the dried distress paint with some green, and then I put on the UTEE and went over it with the black archival, and that was the look I got with that one. And I really like this one as well. This is still probably the one I like the best, is the original. But that'll give you some other options. That shows you that you can put some ink underneath the UTEE and add a little color to it if you choose to. Okay guys, that's it for this time. As always, thanks for stopping by and watching my channel, and we'll get together again and play some more real soon. Bye.